Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm your host D-Day, bringing you my Productive Bees mod spotlight. This is episode 1, so in this episode we will be going over how to get started in Productive Bees. And just letting you guys know that the playlist is down in the description, so go ahead and click that link. And be sure to hit like to keep this series going. And if you're ready, then let's play with D-Day. Alright, so today we're going to talk about how to get started in the Productive Bees mod. And the first thing I wanted to show is check out the mini map. You see all of the little bumblebees, all of the bees flying around on the mini map. That is one of the most important things to look out for when you start Productive Bees. We are going to need vanilla bees first. So while you're exploring, you have to be looking for the vanilla bees and where they are flying and pollinating. And if you stick around that area, you will find the vanilla bee nests, these guys right here. And one thing super important, do not interact with these bee nests until you put a campfire under it, or else the bees will come and they will sting you. And I believe if you are playing on a harder difficulty, if they sting you, they will perish. Also, we got a floofer because I'm running the All the Mods 10 mod pack to showcase the Productive Bees mod. And if a bee stings me, the floofer will definitely bite the bee back. And you want these guys to stay alive. It's super important. So a little bit of how these bees function. They pop out of their bee nest, they go and they find a flower or something that they can pollinate. Like this guy here, he found this flower and now he's going to pollinate himself on the flower, and the Minecraft bee will actually change its appearance when it is fully pollinated. There we go. So it changes a little bit of white dots, and when it flies it has a particle effect. It is fully pollinated. It will then head all the way back to its bee nest and go inside. After a certain amount of time, the bee will come back out and do the same process over again. And inside the nest, you can see it says 5 out of 5 honey, meaning it's completely full. Both of these little dots here, they will fill up with honey and it will drip, letting you know that it is ready to be harvested. So before I show you how to harvest, I want to show you this item here, the nest locator from Productive Bees. It is a note block iron bar surrounded by gold nuggets. What's great about this guy is before you shift right click and attune this to a bee nest, you can have it unattuned, and when you right click, it will tell you in which direction the nearest beehive is. If you look at the bottom bar, the item bar, when you're pointing in the direction of the beehive, it actually lights up brighter. See, it lights up, and then when you look away from it, it's not lit up anymore. So when we right click, it says that a nest is located 9.27 meters, which is the same as blocks, away and that way, which is going to be this one. But if that one gets destroyed or we move far enough away from the bee nest, it will select a different bee nest. Now it shows that it's this direction. So this one right here. And another example, it shows bee nest, honey 0 out of 5. So this one has no honey in it. And as you can see, these two squares are not lit up with honey. They're empty. All right, and while we are looking at this beautiful sunset right here, letting you guys know the bees normally do not fly around at night. So if the Minecraft sun is down, these bees will return to their bee nest and they will sleep inside of their bee nest. There we go, all of them went in, and they will sleep in there until the sun comes back up. So if you're looking for bees at nighttime, you're gonna have a very, very hard time. Okay. So I just skipped the night, and with sunrise, all of the bees would normally pop up if the timer has completely finished. So there we go. We have all the bees out. One thing that I would recommend, highly recommend, is to, of course, make the campfires first. So let's go ahead and make 4 of them. We went over the nest locator. All you need to do is make sure that this guy is underneath it, and now it is being smoked. So the smoke from the campfire is going inside the bee nest, which is going to keep the bees from getting too angry with us for harvesting. So there's two ways that we can harvest from a bee nest. One way is, of course, with glass bottles, and the other way is going to be with shears. So since this is all the mods 10, I'm going to use copper shears. It is smoked. So what we're going to do, glass bottles, if you right click on it, there we go, be our guest. It gives you honey bottles, but it resets the bee nest back to 0. So you need multiple bee nests for this to work. We did get lucky while exploring episode 1 of All the Mods 10. We did run through this biome, which is an autumnal maple forest. It had a lot of bees in it, a lot of bee nests. If you're having trouble finding the bee nests, we did talk about the nest locator. Sometimes it won't work. It'll tell you that there is no bee nest anywhere nearby. Another modded trick is you could make the nature's compass. And I have had really good luck in previous runs, mainly All the Mods 9, with the cherry grove. So you search the cherry grove and it tells you it is in, we'll spin the compass towards the direction we're supposed to go, this way, in a distance of 1,167 blocks in this direction. We will hit a cherry grove, and the cherry grove has had good luck for me in the past. And the other thing that you can do when these guys are full, again, put a campfire under it so that it's smoked. We use copper shears or iron shears to shear it, and that gives us the honeycombs. So this is how we get honeycombs and honey bottles in productive bees. Now, there are 2 bee cages that you can get in productive bees. One of them is just the regular bee cage. You make them with a honey bottle and 2 planks, gives you 4 of them. Also, in villages, you can find sturdy bee cages, but these guys, you have to find them. They're special. The difference between the two is the bee cages that you make, the lighter brown ones, when you right-click a bee, it puts that bee in a bee cage. But then when you right-click the bee cage again to let the bee out, this bee cage will be destroyed. The sturdy ones, on the other hand, you can use more than once. So again, we're going to campfire and we're going to glass bottle this one. And let's go ahead and make ourselves some of the bee cages. We'll do just 8 for now, since we're going to need these honey bottles and these honeycombs in just a moment. The big bummer with these bee nests, these vanilla bee nests, is that if you break them without silk touch, they get destroyed. And of course, the bees are going to attack because I got rid of the campfire. So what you could do is you could pick these up real fast before they sting you. There we go. Now we have 3 vanilla bees in bee cages. That will keep the floofer from biting them, or for them to sting you and then perish because they stung you. But the most important thing is you can't move these unless you have silk touch on your tool. So let's go ahead and grab 2 more bees. All right, now we have 5 vanilla bees. I would say this is enough. We don't need to get more than 5 for right now. All right, so we are back at our base for All the Mods 10. And here we can start working on a small building so that we can start with the bees over here in this biome. And we have a brand new Minecraft day. Such a beautiful sunrise. I love this game so much. And we have already mapped out where we're going to put the building. I like mapping it out with a shovel, making a dirt path. So we'll have a 9x9 building there and there. We need 2 of them. And to keep our bees from escaping when we enter and exit doors, we're going to have a little middle area. So let me get to building. All right, so I'm feeling the mangrove color. So I'm going to go with this mangrove swamp. I'm also going to double dip because we're going to need a swamp later on. So using the nature's compass, it is this direction in 2,000 blocks. So that's going to take me a while. All right, looks like we have come across a jungle biome. So this is important. We'll go ahead and mark this jungle biome for right now. We might need this in a later episode. And then, of course, when I swam through this river, it showed that we were in a river biome. That is also a biome that we're most likely going to need. Ooh, and I just came across this rocky meadow, and I'm looking at this mauve. I like this also. There is a bee nest in here. So I'm probably going to take a bunch of different woods with me, and the saplings, of course, and then we'll decide together kind of what colors we're going to make the bee house out of. But like I said earlier in the video, there are bees popping up on the mini-map. So this is letting us know that there are bee nests in this area. Oh, and we have found a desert, which is also a biome that we need to keep a lookout for. Super important. We have a reed bee here that looks like it's taking damage from the cactus. Poor guy. Bummer. And that looks like a bumblebee over there. That's pretty cool. Big old boy. And this is something that we can look out for. We can find some of the bees out in the wild. This one here is an ashy mining bee. So let's go ahead and use our sturdy to grab this ashy mining bee. And we'll keep this one on us. Let's see, which one is this one? Is this also? This one is a mason bee. So let's grab that guy as well. Keep a lookout for bees when you are out exploring. You can snag them if you run across them. But I will be showing how to breed them after we build the building. All right, we have arrived at the mangrove swamp. We got mangrove roots everywhere. This is a swamp biome. So I'm going to grab some mangrove saplings while we're here. And I'm also going to keep a lookout for a specific bee nest that only spawns and only works in swamp biomes. Uh-oh, something just popped up on my mini-map. And that's the actual bee that I'm looking for. How funny. Now, how am I going to get to this guy? Aha! I found the nest. So here is a slimy nest. These guys, they only function in a swamp biome. So our slimy bee is probably heading back to the slimy nest after it has pollinated. These nests, you can make them. It's an iron sword with a slime block, so 9 pieces of slime. You can make these, but they will only work if they're placed in a swamp biome. So you can't just make these at home and place them wherever and use a honey tree to get a slime bee. It has to be put in a swamp biome. And we had a crab come visit us. Okay. We're waiting for the slimy bee to make its way back. It is sunset, so it will come back. It will come into the nest. And then I wanted to show you guys a trick to picking up bees without the bee cage. And here comes the slimy bee. Don't know why, but it is having trouble coming back to its nest. It is sunset. I know it's really hard for you guys to see now, but it should go back into its nest. And when it goes into its nest, when any bee goes into its nest, you can simply pick up the nest to carry the bee with you. You do not need to have silk touch. So there it is, slimy nest, inhabitant, entity, productive bees, configurable bee. Now we break it, and the bee is inside. There it says bees, slimy bee. So if it is inside the nest, we can just take the entire nest with us. And what is this guy? Let's see. Is a chocolate mining bee. Okay, we got a chocolate mining bee as well. And we did just exit the swamp to go into this biome here. And I actually think this looks pretty cool. These spirit logs are like a whitish grayish color, so I might have changed my mind. Also, why did it just get super dark? Why is it getting darker? I don't know what's going on. Modded Minecraft. And I know it's really hard to see, I'm sorry guys, but I found a reed nest with an inhabitant reed bee. So we're going to take that with us. Alright guys, it's been a while and we have built our makeshift building. I have used different mods, connected glass and such, biomes aplenty of course, to make a building that looks fairly interesting to the eye. What's really funny is over here I've been planting mauve trees so that we have more building materials, and this one spawned with a bee nest in it. This is something that I looked up and found out on the internet, that sometimes you can grow a tree with a bee nest in it. But when I was playing All the Mods 9, I could not get that function to work. So I think it's pretty funny that this one spawned 1-for-1 with a bee nest. But just letting you guys know, that is a possibility. You can grow a tree with a nest in it. We are past that point now. So let's go ahead and go into our new bee building and let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and we will pick room number 2. I went ahead and I made double doors so that we can lock ourselves in and switch between rooms without any of these sneaky bees running away from us. It's all clear glass from connected glass. And what we're gonna do first is let's go ahead and put down our barrel and our hopper. So we'll put the barrel down here, the hopper on top, and then let's go ahead and make ourselves our first beehive. So for the beehive, we're going to need 3 honeycombs, which I showed you guys. We use the shears on vanilla beehives to get the honeycombs. So let's go ahead and plus in our beehive and let's jump up and shift click it up here. There we go. This beehive, we're not going to be able to right click on it. It's not going to have any way to interact, but this is like the bee nest, but you can pick it up and move it around. Now, I could show you guys how to use the beehive, but I would think this would be unnecessary information. So let's just go ahead and take the beehive, and since it's so cheap, we can go ahead and upgrade it to the productive bees advanced beehive. And so I am working with mauve, so we're gonna go ahead and make it in that. There we go. We now have the quest complete for this guy. We can put this guy back up there, and this one we can click on and we can interact. So just putting down this one right here, the advanced beehive, it gives you space for 3 bees. 1 extra step. You have another honeycomb surrounded in planks to make the expansion box. Now the expansion box can be put on any side. I usually put it on the top, but all of the sides work. So you could put it on the side and it will upgrade from 3 to 5. I have already tested it. If you add more of these expansion boxes, it does not improve the inventory. You are gonna still stay with 5. So let's go ahead and we can put the barrel in the ground. We can put the advanced beehive on top and the expansion box on top of that. Now we have 5 spots, and I went ahead and I made spirit trapdoors just because I figured like we can make this look a little bit nicer by covering up the hopper. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this looks better? I think it looks pretty good. And now that we have flowers in here and the advanced beehive is up and running, now we can free our bees. And like I said, when you use these bee cages, the light brown ones, they will break when you free the bee. But to make doubly sure, we're going to assign them to this advanced beehive here by shift right clicking against it. And it looks like some of them are still angry with me, but I switched it to peaceful, so they're not going to deal damage or perish. And in peaceful mode, they switch back. They're happy again. Happy bees. And all 5 of them have been assigned to the beehive here. So there's 3 of them. They already went inside. The other 2 are going to pollinate nearby. I know there are ways to make it even more efficient by putting the flower right in front of the advanced beehive and then blocking off their path so they can only come out and in with the flower. But I don't really like the look of that, and I don't like the feel of that. It's the whole reason why I have access to the sky. It's because I want to have more of an immersion with nature and these bees. But I think this is a lot more fun All 5 of them are in here now. They all got pollinated. And when they pop out, we're not going to have to worry about shearing anything, because we can put glass bottles in this slot here, and it will fill up with honey on these particles right here. When these are full, it will move 1 glass bottle over here as a honey bottle, and every time they pop out, we're going to have honeycombs gathering in these slots here, which, because of this guy, the hopper, should dump everything out into the barrel. And of course, when you go to the bee and you hold shift, it tells you the type, productivity, normal, weather tolerance, none. So the problem with weather tolerance none means it is raining outside. It doesn't matter that this is inside the building. Since it is raining, the bees will not come out of their advanced beehive. And also their behavior is diurnal, which means they only produce when it is during a Minecraft day. These are stats that we'll be able to change later on in this series. We can up the productivity to very high. We can make the behavior meta-ernal, so it'll work day and night. Weather tolerance to all. Getting these vanilla bees up and running inside the advanced beehive over here on the left-hand side, this was important so that we can start getting more honey bottles and more vanilla honeycombs. So since they're sleeping and it is no problem for us to switch, we can now move into the other room, which is going to be for the productive bees. So there they go. They all popped out of their advanced beehive since I slept the night away, and they're going to keep working over here while we move over here into this area. We have already captured some bees: the green carpenter bee, the chocolate mining bee, the ashy mining bee, and the mason bee, as well as the reed bee inside the reed nest and the slimy bee inside the slimy nest. So there's a whole bunch of nests that you can get in productive bees, and you can simply type in nest right here and it shows you all of the productive bee nests that pop up. If you click on one of them, it shows you the recipe. It's a wooden sword and glowstone, makes the glowstone nest. But also if you hit the U button when hovering over it, U for use, it shows you bee spawning over here. And then we need to feed glowstone to a glowstone nest to get the glowing bee. U on the glowing bee. The glowing bee makes glowing combs. U on the glowing comb in the centrifuge makes glowstone. So this guy will automate glowstone. Also wax and honey. Backspace makes you go back. Bee breeding. The glowing bee is used with the osmium bee to make refined glowstone bee. It is used with the chocolate mining bee, which we have, to make the redstone bee. That is interesting. These are the 2 things that the glowing bee can breed with to make new productive bees. Underneath, it shows you what needs to be fed to each bee in order to have them create an offspring, which in this case is any flower. Hitting backspace again on the glowstone nest, this is super important. Hitting U, going to information, attracts glowing bees in the nether. Nest must be placed in the nether to attract bees. So this nest, we cannot make glowstone bees yet, even though we can find glowstone in the overworld. We cannot make glowstone bees until we go and put it physically in the nether. Same with the soul sand nest, it needs to be in the nether. The quartz nest also needs to be put in the nether. The nether brick nest for magmatic bees, also the nether. The endstone nest needs to be put in the end for your ender pearl bee, the ender bee, and also the obsidian nest, only native to the end. So we have nests for the end, we have nests for the nether, and we have nests for the overworld, which I've already briefly touched on. The slimy nest, iron sword and a slime block makes a slimy nest. Hitting U on that, information, attracts wild slimy bees. Nest must be placed in a swamp, or else it will not work. All of the overworld nests, they need a honey treat fed to them in order to pop out the bee, but it is 100% guaranteed. So the honey treats are going to be a honey bottle and a honeycomb, or 2 pollen puffs and a honeycomb. This recipe, the honey block, is just how to make 4 at a time. 4 honey bottles makes 1 honey block, and then 4 honeycombs makes 4. So let me go ahead and knock these out. We don't need the slimy nest because we found one in a swamp with the slimy bee. And as I showed, when you click on it, hover over it, hit U, bee spawning, 1 out of 1. This nest only makes 1 bee, the slimy bee. Also the reed nest, we picked up one of these guys. We're going to get rid of that with A for bookmark, and hover over reed nest U information. This nest will attract bees in any overworld biome. So it doesn't matter where you put it, it will function in any biome. And it makes the mason bee and the reed bee. So we don't need this guy either because the reed bee is inside the reed nest, and we have caught a mason bee while exploring. The gravel nest, wooden sword and gravel makes the gravel nest. U for use, warm rivers. Nest must be placed in a river or a beach biome to attract bees. So this one, the gravel nest, makes the digger bee, the chocolate mining bee, and the ashy bee. So we need to physically place the gravel nest in a river biome if we need any of these 3. The snow nest, use, it needs to be put in a cold biome, so anywhere where there's snow. That will get us the sweat bee. The dirt nest, coarse dirt and a wooden sword, not regular dirt, it's coarse dirt. This nest will attract bees in any overworld biome. We can do that. And it gives us a lot. So, leafcutter bee, chocolate bee, ashy mining bee. Then you need to be careful because it changes spruce nest, acacia, glowstone. It shows you these. And I believe these 12 pages are going to be all of the nests. So it looks like only these front 3, the ashy mining bee, chocolate bee, and leafcutter bee, come from the dirt nest. The stone nest is an iron sword with stone. Hitting U, it will work in any biome, and it makes us the mason bee and the digger bee. So now that we see the digger bee comes from the stone nest, we do not need the gravel nest, since the gravel nest has a condition of needing to be put in a river. So let's go ahead and get rid of the gravel nest. The dark oak is a wooden sword and a dark oak log. We should have that. It will work in any biome, and it will make a yellow carpenter bee, a blue banded bee, a green carpenter bee. So we need these guys. The spruce nest, also wooden sword and spruce, resin bee, and also a yellow carpenter bee. So we need the resin bee as well. So we'll hold off on the snow nest since we need the sweat bee, but not right now. We'll make the dirt, the stone, the dark oak, and the spruce nests. All right, my guys. So dirt with a wooden sword. Just kidding. 2 pieces of dirt, 2 pieces of gravel for coarse dirt, and a wooden sword makes the dirt nest. Then we have wooden sword and the spruce for spruce nest, dark oak for the dark oak, and then stone with the iron sword for the stone nest. So now we have these 4 nests, and what we need are 4 honey treats. So let's check over here. It looks like we have the honey is ready right there. It's in yellow. So let's grab some of our glass. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves a full stack, and we can put the glass bottles in here. And now it dumped out what was in reserves, and it's back to normal. And down here, what have we gathered already? 4 of these pollen puffs and 48 honeycombs. That's more than I was expecting. All right, so we'll let them do their thing. And let me not push this guy out into the door. There we go, into our little airlock. They will keep doing their thing. We now have a bunch of honeycombs. That's crazy. And let's go ahead and use our pollen puffs to make some honey treats. We could also use our honey bottles, but since these puffs are here, let's go ahead and use these. That gives us 3. And then let's make 1 more. That gives us 4. And of course, when you use these, the glass bottles are returned to you. So you can reuse the glass bottles. That's pretty cool. So now we can go into this side, the other side, for all of our productive bees. Let me not open the other door. And let's go ahead and put them along the ceiling. I like that a lot more. So let's see. We'll put the stone one here, the dark oak here, the dirt, and the spruce. And now it says nest is empty, but when we right click, it says repopulation cooldown, and it's 1200 seconds. There we go. We'll give one on each, and that's all that's required. If you are in a hurry and you have an overabundance, every time you use a honey treat, it will shorten the cooldown and make the new bee pop out faster. So out of symmetry, let me go ahead and grab our slimy nest. I tend to build my buildings in odd numbers so that there is a middle. So we need odd numbers to make it not look weird. But this one already has a slimy bee in it, and it will pop out and also use all of these guys. By these guys, I mean flowers, of course. One thing that I think is pretty interesting is these nests. So when you hover over it and hit U, and it tells you these 3 bees come from the dark oak nest. When you feed it a honey treat, it will randomly give you one of these 3. If you wanted to make the process faster, I would recommend making more dark oak nests and tagging them with their own separate honey treat, rather than using honey treats on the same one to make the cooldown faster. Having more of these out will give you better chance of hitting one of these 3 if you're missing only one of them. Also, I think it's pretty important, use your pollen puffs first so that you can use your honey bottles to make more of these bee cages. It's also important to note that when the bees come out and pollinate and go into a nest, you will not be getting any product from these nests. Even if the bee is inside and coming in and out, you will have to move them to a beehive to be able to get their combs. We still have 900 seconds on these guys, but I wanted to show you guys something in the meantime. There really are a ridiculous amount of bees. So if you want to look up how to check out the productive bees, you do the @ symbol, productive, and it will show you any mod that starts with productive. So also productive metalworks showed up. So if you hit space and fill out the rest, bees, this is all 5 pages of just the productive bees mod. And as you can see, there's a lot of these fluttering bees, and they all do something special. Some of these bees I'm going to have a dedicated episode to, like the quarry bee and the lumber bee. These guys are a special case. They come out, they pollinate, and whatever they touch, they might put out the actual product, not the comb, but the actual product. So the quarry bee is for stone and the lumber bee is for wood. I'm going to explain how in the future this is really awesome, because with simulation upgrades, they will no longer come out of their beehive. They will only take what's on the slab. So whatever item you put on the slab is the item that they will create. This is really good for items that are not infinitely generated by another bee. Next episode, we're going to go over overworld bee breeding. So with these, we can click on the individual bees, like the blue banded bee, hit U for use, bee flowering. What does it need? It needs a normal flower, and it does not produce any combs, as you can see. The only purpose to the blue banded bee is for bee breeding. So right now, the overworld bees that we're making, some of them do not make product, but we need them to be able to breed. Like this one, the blue banded bee breeds with the redstone bee to make the lapis bee. That is its only purpose other than breeding with the iron bee to make the lead bee. It is a bee that does not make product. It's only required to make another bee. We will see which one pops out. There's 700 seconds left. We will get 4 new bees that pop out here, plus the ones that we've already caught in the wild, and those will be the ones that we take with us to episode 2 of Productive Bees, so that we can start breeding some overworld bees. All right, we got 20 seconds left, and these guys will pop. Let's see what 4 we have gotten together 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boop, boop, and boop. So we got a leaf cutter bee. Very cool. We got a resin bee. We got a green carpenter bee. And we got a mason bee. Very, very cool. And next episode, we're going to be able to take these guys, feed them flowers, and make the next line of bees. Thank you so much for joining me today. Smash like to show your appreciation, and consider leaving a boom in the comment section below. Also, click on my dude here to subscribe for more Let's Plays. Ooh.